Some Senate Republicans have already vowed to make aggressive changes to Trump's big, beautiful bill unless the provision to raise the debt limit is removed. But if too many changes are made, it won't get past the House when it has to go back. Former White House economic advisor Steve Moore joining us now to discuss. Steve, good morning to you. You said this numerous times. Failure is not an option. We will have the biggest tax increase in history if this is not passed. But the GOP can only lose 3 votes. So what are you hearing? Are there enough senators on board at this point?
Good morning, Jan. Well, first of all, last week was a big week for this bill because it did get through the House by 1 vote, and that's a huge hurdle to get over, no question about it. That it raises the probability that this will be signed into law, and I'll put the odds very high that it will get through the Senate and they will come to an agreement. But this is the sausage-making process, and sometimes it's ugly. And yes, the Senate will certainly make changes to the House bill. For sure. Whether they add more spending cuts or less spending cuts, I'm not sure, but they'll add some things to the bill. One of the big controversial items, as you know, Jan, is the issue of the SALT deduction. How big should the state and local tax deduction be? That has to be worked out. Donald Trump says he wants a bill signing on 4th of July. I kind of doubt they're going to make that deadline, so there's still a lot of work to be done.
But that's kind of frightening because we're almost getting to the end of the year and it's almost just like kicking the can down the road.
Well, as you said, they have to get this done because if they don't, on January 1st, there would be a giant tax increase. So failure is not an option. That's one of the reasons I feel very confident in predicting this will happen. I'm gonna predict, Jan, that they get a bill done by the end of the summer. That gives them a few months to get this done. And look, it's not a great bill. It's not a great bill, but it's a good bill. It does extend the Trump tax cuts. It has some of the things that have been very popular with voters, Jan, like the no tax on tips and the no tax on overtime. But mostly what this bill does is simply extend the bill that passed in 2017 and frankly was pretty successful in helping the economy. So that's where we stand on that bill right now.
The Senate was successful in killing the California gas car ban. So, Steve, let's talk about this for a minute because it was bipartisan. You had 35 Democrats in the House who voted with the GOP on this one. One in the Senate, Alyssa Slotkin. Let's talk about it for a minute because is this another sign of a fractured Democratic Party?
Maybe, but this isn't really that controversial. I mean, I think most people would agree that in America, people should be able to buy whatever car they want.
Yeah, that was the controversy, was not being able to purchase whatever kind of car you want.
Exactly, right. So this was a California law. I guess a little confusing. This is a California law that was going to require people to buy,
but other states adopted it.
I don't even know if it applied to hybrids. I think that you had to have a fully EV car. And by the way, just so you know, Jan, Ann and I, we have a hybrid and we love it. You know, we used it for when we, when we're buzzing around town, we use the battery, and when we go on long trips, we use the gas. And hybrids are very popular, but this law wouldn't have even allowed hybrids. You would have had to have a full EV. Only about 8% of the cars on the road today are EVs today. So that would have been a big problem, getting all Americans to switch cars. And you're right, even Democrats voted to get rid of that California law.
And yet there are still plenty of Democrats who didn't vote for it in both the House and the Senate, as I mentioned, just one Democrat in the Senate. But it did pass. Very quickly, consumer confidence blew out expectations, rebounding after 5 straight months of declines. We also saw the largest increase since March of 2021. Talk about the significance of this, especially when last month we heard prices were going to dramatically increase because of tariffs, and the sky is falling because of tariffs.
Yeah, you're right. And I was even surprised by that number that just came out, I believe, yesterday, that showed a big bump in consumer confidence. And you're quite right. For the last 3 months, it's been falling. And that was because of the tariffs. And people were afraid of how much things were going to cost and how long this tariff fight would go on. Look, Trump's had a good last 3 weeks or so. First, he got the deal done with the UK, the trade deal. And then they have, at least on paper, a trade deal done with China, although I wouldn't trust them. I want to see some verification of that. And then finally, the Europeans did make a call over the Memorial Day weekend to Trump saying, let's get together, let's make a deal. He's extended that for another month to get a deal on the table. That's all good news for American consumers and American businesses. And it looks like, you know, we may avert a huge trade war, which there's no saying, nobody wins a trade war.
Former White House economic advisor Steve Moore, always great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Hope you have a great weekend.
Have a great day.
Thank you.